Vice President Kamala Harris in her first ever interview with Fox News. Bret Baier has been known to commit the terrible crime of reporting the actual news on Fox, and he obviously felt pressure to go extra hard on Harris so they would let him sit in the lunchroom after the show, and he did just that, which earned him instant kudos from his comrades.
From his comrades, they use the Soviet lexicon, don't they? Workers, everybody's a worker, and you got comrades, and then they're goose-stepping together down the cobblestone streets, bayonets affixed. They're the left. They're not liberals. Speaking of the left and comrades, CNN employs Van Jones. Van Jones, who became a communist. He became a communist in the 1990s. He used to brag about it. Now he makes too much money to brag about being a communist, kind of like Bernie Sanders. Bernie owns 3 homes and rents a 4th, right? Because being a communist in the United States is not the same as being a communist in a communist country. Much better here. But Van Jones, the communist, on CNN, they were talking about the interview with... which, I don't know if you know this, but the interview was testy. It was a testy interview. I mentioned this in hour 1, but the headlines are everywhere. And even the media analyst critic, Joe Concha, pulled together a bunch of headlines. Fiery Harris vows break from Biden in testy Fox interview. Testy, they got a testy thing here. Even the Hollywood Reporter, Kamala Harris's Fox interview opens with testy exchange. Got a testy exchange. The Associated Press says Harris's interview with Fox News is marked by testy exchanges. They got a lot of testy exchanges. You know, that's, I'm just going to leave that one alone there. And CNN, Kamala Harris spars with Fox News anchor in testy interview. They have no original thoughts. They all share the same brain. One brain split between billions of people. It's tragic. And National Panhandler Radio, suckling on the taxpayer teat. Harris interview on Fox gets testy. It's very testy. There's a lot of testy stuff going on there. It's testy. Tragic. Honestly. Amazing. You know who's testy? Hezbollah. Hezbollah's testy. Because their guy, Yahya Sinwar, got a bomb on him. I drop a bomb on you. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Let's get back to the testy interview, because who doesn't love testy? What? What are you talking about? And why would they all use the same word? One news organization uses the word, and the rest just follow like the lemming that they are, the centipede that they are. Yes, sir. Yeah, and the Israelis are now coming out and saying that in Gaza, they killed 3 terrorists eliminated by the IDF, and you know, Sinwar, what was he doing in Gaza? He doesn't live in Gaza. He lives in Lebanon. But he was in Khan Yunis, Gaza, and then bada boom, they blow up so soon. All right, let's go back to Kamala, because the question was, well, you know, 79% of Americans say that we're on the wrong track. It's the old right track, wrong track survey. And when you have 79%, that's basically 8 out of 10 Americans who say, oh, yeah, we're going in the wrong direction. And when asked about this, when you're a Democrat, what do? Well, of course, and I've been pointing this out for many years, a standard Democrat tactic is change the subject and attack. I have all these sayings, and when I said them originally, I was like, hey, that works in this situation. And then over time, I've realized that so many of these sayings, they're more true than I had ever imagined. Just extraordinary. So hey, Kamala, almost 8 out of 10 say we're on the wrong track. It's a terrible country, according to most Americans these days.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
What?
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
No, I really don't know what nobody else does either. What the hell are you talking about? But she wasn't done.
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But you're
people
the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous.
But 79% of the country says we're on the wrong track under you, and didn't say that under him. And the economy was better, and employment was better, and 79% didn't say we were on the wrong track, and there weren't mothers being raped and murdered by Venezuelan street gangs all over the country, and people being dragged through Times Square by gangs of children with guns. You know, here's the thing. More Democrats, I talked about this on Newsmax last night, more Democrats, more guns in more faces. That's just straight up true. More Democrats, more murder. And then the FBI will lie to you. No, there's less murder. And then you find out a year and a half later that they were lying to you. Just like they lied to you about the unemployment numbers, just like they lied to you about the economic growth numbers, like they lied to you about the inflation numbers, they lied to you about the gas prices. Our government lies to us a lot. And when the FBI and Justice Department and the Bureau of Justice Statistics lies to us about crime rates and murder rates, that should be frowned upon. And, you know, someone should be held accountable. But that never happens, does it? You can go to Congress and lie under oath over and over again, and no problem. Just amazing. Now, Bret Baier then said, hey, wait a minute. I don't know if you're aware of the fact that a whole lot of women have been raped and murdered by illegal alien gang members from Venezuela. Do you think that's okay? Or would you like to send a gift basket?
Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration. Do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true.
Yeah, okay. You have to acknowledge. And then there's Joycelyn Nungaray, too, who is another one, and another illegal alien in the country, another Venezuelan gang member murdering Joycelyn Nungaray in Houston. And she was 12 years old. Amazing stuff. And there were, in fact, 2 Venezuelan gang member illegal aliens with Tren de Aragua. And what do? They yell at you like Martha Raddatz on ABC yelling at President Trump. Honestly, oh, no, yelling at, I'm sorry, J.D. Vance. Oh, no, there's no problem in Aurora, Colorado, just taking over a handful of apartment complexes.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes and a handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself?
Honestly, do you hear yourself has become a mantra because Martha Raddatz embarrassed herself, humiliated herself, disgraced journalism, which is a difficult thing to do. And you know, you've got these young, I mean, again, a 12-year-old girl in Texas, and these 2, man, sexually assaulting the 12-year-old girl and murdering her and leaving her under a bridge at the age of 12. That's as old as she'll get. And Franklin Pena and Johan Martinez Rangel, members of Tren de Aragua, arrested in Houston for raping and murdering the 12-year-old girl. And then, of course, Laken Riley, a 22-year-old college student in Georgia, and Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 in Maryland. all murdered and raped, all murdered by gang members, illegal alien gang members from Venezuela that the Democrat Party invited into the country, gave transportation, waved them around. Here's your Carmen Miranda gift basket, wear it on your head. And she's like, well, that's all very sad. And Bret Baier's like, well, yeah, okay, you feel sad about it, but, you have anything more than that to say?
It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm
See how polite
would
he's being?
occur. And this
She's
election
filibustering.
in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage
It wasn't
in an
a
election,
problem under him.
because there was a solution, Brett.
He fixed it. He secured the border. And by the way, Bret Baier actually did a good job saying, well, the bill that you're discussing here was an amnesty bill. You hired people to wave more illegals into the country, not to secure our border. You guys stopped construction of the border wall and sold off at a discounted rate the sections of border wall that had already been constructed at taxpayer expense. And we took a bath, undoubtedly sold to friends of the Democrat Party at that discounted rate. And you wouldn't have stopped these murders because that legislation came after these women and young girl were raped and murdered by the illegal alien gang members from Venezuela that you people invited into the country. That's right, you people. You people. You bet, you people. And then Bret said, because Kamala Harris has in the past said repeatedly, oh, I'm all for paying for sex change surgeries and treatments for illegal aliens in prisons and for convicted criminals in prisons. And she said it on camera quite clearly. And Bret Baier asked her about that.
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
Listen to this.
You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
Can I pause that there for a second? Because you say, well, I'm going to follow the law. Well, the Democrats made the law, you filthy, perverted psychopaths. The Democrats created this law. A Democrat in the White House, Democrats controlling the House, and Democrats controlling the Senate. And they pay, oh, yeah, taxpayer expense, sex change surgeries and treatments for psycho killers in prisons. Heck yeah, we want to pay for that. So the Democrats got that through. And she says, well, it was the law when Donald Trump was president. It was the law because Democrats made it the law when Donald Trump was president. But then Bret Baier came armed with the facts and just buried her. This is the interview equivalent of hitting her in the back of the head with a shovel.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries.
Well, you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your
presidency.
administration.
And no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law.
Now, the way she snaked and lied like a snaky weasel, sharp-toothed liar there, Donald Trump, he said, well, look, it was the law because Democrats passed it. He never advocated for that. So trying to pin the tail on him is ridiculous. And there were none of those procedures done while he was president. And she said, well, you've followed the law. It's in black and white. And, your brain is damaged, Kamala. They're just such snakes and weasels and liars and frauds and charlatans. And she never answered the question, are you still, well, I'll follow the law. And the law is that right now it's allowed. Therefore, she expressed her support for it. She's in favor of it. Donald Trump is not, and it never happened in his 4 years as president. And given the opportunity, he would oppose it. That's why Republicans need the Senate, too. So the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, gets moved out of the way. You know that America's strength isn't just built, it's also worn. For those who put in the hours to get things done, G-Defy shoes are making it right, and they're making it right for you. With patented VersaShock technology in every shoe, G-Defy doesn't just talk about comfort, they engineer comfort. With every step you take, G-Defy shoes helps to absorb harmful shocks that, provide you with trampoline-like energy return underneath your feet. My best girl and I, we've each got a pair of G-Defy shoes, hiked around the city in them. Make your feet feel better after you've had a hike than they felt before your hike. Designed for hard-working Americans, for parents, and for people that stand tall no matter what. All you have to do is go to gdefyshoes.com and use the code CHRIS to get $20 off your orders of $100 or more. That's code CHRIS for $20 off your order of $100 because even champions need to rest. Go to gdefy.com today. Yes, sir. Yeah, Kamala. She doesn't answer the question. And then the news media comes out and they're like, oh, she's doing such a great job. Gosh, she's brave. She spoke to a Fox News anchor who's utterly polite and professional and even deferential, but always play the victim card.
Well, you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
I've got an update for you about radical Islamic terrorist jihadi plotting an election day attack here in the United States, and the crooked FBI lying to us. Also, the dimwits at The View, they're very upset because they're not very bright at all. Let's go back to the telephones. Let's go. Gosh, we don't have a ton of time, but let's go to Jeff calling from Illinois. Jeffrey, you're on the Chris Plante Show. Jeff. Where is Jeff? Jeff calling from Illinois. Jeff. Looks like we're not going to be able to get Jeff because he's not there. So you can't talk to Jeff if he's not there, can you? Can you? See, and Jasmine said Jeff is first. Jeff is first in line. And then Jeff disappeared. But what Jeff was going to talk about was Kamala saying, well, she'll follow the law, right? She'll follow. Oh, no, I'm going to follow the law, whatever. It's right there in black and white. That we have to pay for transgender surgeries for, murderers and kidnappers and stuff while they're in prison, and including illegal aliens. Just like Donald Trump followed the law, which he never supported, and no surgeries or treatments took place during the 4 years of Donald Trump. But she uses that as her example because she's not very bright.
Some testy exchanges during Kamala Harris's interview on Fox News.
This became contentious and testy at times.
Vice President Harris sitting down for a testy interview, at times fiery, with Fox News' Bret Baier.
In testy exchanges over immigration.
Testy exchange. Vice President Harris is being accused of not directly answering questions in her first ever interview.
Sitting down with Fox News in an interview that can only be described as contentious, testy, heated.
And often a testy exchange between the two.
Testy exchanges over immigration.
This is about as close as we're going to get to a second debate if this was a really testy exchange.
Oh, please. And over at CNN, they have a communist who goes by the name Van Jones. He's $1 million communist because in America, even a communist can succeed, at least at CNN and in the news media. Isn't it amazing? By the way, there's a big story today. There's a story that's out there about how at CNN, they're doing so poorly in the ratings that their revenues are down. And they're going around to all their highfalutin, high-paid anchors, and they're telling them they're going to have to slash their pay, for most, and reporters too. But they're multi-million-dollar. They say Jake Tapper, he makes $7 million a year. They're not going to cut his pay. Wolf Blitzer, $3 million a year. You think Wolf Blitzer would make more than Jake Tapper, but that's me. And Chris Wallace, who went over from Fox News to join the then startup CNN Plus, their online streaming service, which went belly up in no time at all. but they had a no-cut contract for Chris Wallace, and they said he's making $8.5 million a year. And they have him like they plugged him into the weekend somewhere since that whole no-cut CNN Plus thing didn't work out. And they're trying to figure out a way to slash his pay, too. But when you make $8.5 million a year, when they come to slash your pay, maybe you should say, I could probably get by on $4.5 million or, $6 million or something. Maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna keep working on that myself. I got a long way to go. Long way to go on that. Pretty amazing stuff. But I digress. Let's go to Van Jones, the communist, right? The communist on, because he's talking about the interview, Bret Baier from the communist perspective with Kamala Harris.
I now hope Donald Trump will go on MSNBC and talk to Rachel Maddow, okay? Because that is very tough to do when you're on unfriendly territory. She went there. It was rude from the beginning. It was disrespectful from the beginning. He was talking over her. He was clearly not there to ask questions. He was trying to attack her on behalf of Donald Trump, and it did not go well for him.
The idea that Rachel Maddow is somehow the equivalent at MSDNC of Bret Baier at the Fox News Channel is as communistic as any communist thing you're ever going to hear from a communist like Van Jones as a communist. That couldn't be more ridiculous. MSDNC, there's nothing newsy there at all. You got Joyless Reed, these psychotic, racist, anti-Semite, anti-American lunatics who are all making millions of dollars a year, too. And amazing stuff. Yeah. And Trump, everywhere Trump goes, he's talked over, he's interrupted. I played some audio earlier of David Muir during the presidential debate where David Muir cut off President Trump. Well, in fact, I want to get to that now because I want to get to the FBI story, which is a complete outrage. And there are a couple things on that. But President Trump, during the presidential debate with Kamala Harris, talked about how crime is up and everybody knows it. And Democrat frontman, Democrat shill, and he makes $25 million a year. I happen to know a couple of these things. David Muir is paid $25 million a year. What is your bi-weekly paycheck when you make $25 million a year? That's a pretty good paycheck. I'd like that. That'd be good. But David Muir, here's David Muir doing, and again, Van the Communist Jones. Yeah, he was rude. He cut him off. Every single interview Trump does with any of the so-called, mainstream media, he's constantly interrupted, cut off, contradicted, fake fact-checked. And here's President Trump saying crime is up and everybody knows it. And David Democrat Muir jumps in. This question, he made like $100,000 just asking this. Just this one interruption, I think he got $100,000.
Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
Wah, wah, wah. But there's David Muir now, and that's perfectly normal for President Trump. Anytime the press is in the room, they interrupt him, they cut him off, they contradict him, they fake fact-check him. And I mocked that at the time, as did many others, because David Muir jumps, no, well, I'm here to represent the bureaucracy and the deep state, and the bureaucracy says that crime is down, even though anybody you talk to anywhere knows, because we have instincts as human beings, and we know that, you go down the street in Washington, D.C., and there are crazy people everywhere, and there's more crime, and, they defund the police, and they fund the criminals because they love crime. More Democrats, more guns, and more faces. More Democrats, more carjackings. More Democrats, more murders. Now, here's the headline from the Daily Caller. FBI FBI quietly revised violent crime data, comma, now showing surge instead of reported decreases. Now, the FBI has committed suicide in so many ways, from their, you can smell the Trump supporters to the lying to the FISA courts to spy on the Trump campaign, which they did. President Trump said, they're spying on me, and he was called a liar and a conspiracy theorist and a paranoid and a fraud. And then, of course, we found out they got 4 corrupt warrants from the FISA court, the secret FISA court, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, to spy on members of the Trump camp, including Papadopoulos, who's a Naval Academy grad and a patriot, and they lied about everything. And they lie, and the phony, they staged the photos at Mar-a-Lago that they set up where they brought their own classified document cover sheets to put on Donald Trump's documents, and then they released it to the press. They raid the home of Trump associate and bring a CNN camera crew with them. The list goes on. And now, that's not good enough. They quietly revised their violent crime data. They lied to us about the jobs numbers, and then they revised them downward a month later, 2 months later. They lied to us about the unemployment numbers and then revised them later. They lied to us about inflation numbers and economic numbers, and then they, later on, and nobody even comes out sheepishly and says, oh, yeah, we lied or we got it wrong. They just put out a piece of paper and they, go to the bar and cheat on their spouses. It's what's going on. They're like the news media at this point. And so that's the Daily Caller headline, with now showing surge instead of reported decrease, and Real Clear Investigations. And I think they started it all yesterday with their reporting. Stealth Edit, : they love their colons. They do. They love their colons. So Stealth Edit, : and it turns out, not only do they love their colons, but honestly, they like their testes too, because it's a very testy interview. Colons and testes. With these people have got a lot of issues, don't they? But Real Clear Politics doing an important, Real Clear Investigations doing an important Stealth Edit. FBI quietly revises violent crime stats. And I looked for it in my Washington Post today, and I didn't find it. I didn't find the story in the Washington Post. The Daily Caller has Real Clear Investigations has it. But you'd think, hey, wait a minute. We at the Washington Post have been reporting data given to us by the Biden administration and the permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, and it was all a lie. It was all untrue. And certainly the Washington Post, as a newspaper, would want to cover that news. No, they wouldn't. Now, they do have a big story on Project 2025, though, because they're pretending that's important. And they have Harris clashes with Fox News host in contentious interview. But then they describe it in the body of the story as testy. They do. They describe it as testy because they have one brain that they have to share among themselves. Isn't that amazing? And they got a story on one guy threatening FEMA people in North Carolina, because that's a big story. But none of this stuff. And then Israel is bad. The Jews are bad. Kind of an amazing story. But this story is a big, big story, and it's an important story that they lied to us again. When the FBI originally released their final, and that's what they called it, and Real Clear Investigations puts the word final in quotation marks, their final crime data for 2022. They released the data in September of 2023, right? 9 months into the year. Oh, now we have our crime data. Hey, look, good news. It reported that the nation's violent crime rate fell by 2.1%. And then the Democrats ran around telling us, and we have some audio on this that Grabian put together of our news media telling us, and Democrats invited on to say, crime is down, crime is down. And they're attacking Congressman Byron Donalds on CNN. Oh, you said crime is up, crime is down. And President Trump being interrupted by David Muir during the presidential debate. You said crime is up, crime is down. And the news media did this.
Trying to make people think that crime is up when crime is down under Joe Biden. Now, I don't know how often that gets reported on this network. So if you're watching this at home, do yourself a favor and look up the data.
Crime is down across the country.
Crime is down, Jim. Yeah. This claim is not only not true, it's the opposite of reality. Crime has been falling for 1.5 years plus.
The FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country.
You're lying, Congressman.
There's Byron Donalds being shouted down.
I just released data this week. The crime is going down. Oh my God! Why do you let this man lie on your national television like this? This is not right. You may not lie.
The truth teller is called a liar.
We have the data. The FBI literally put out data today showing that crime is down.
CNN
we
again.
deal in facts here.
Thank you.
Okay, it's clear as day.
It's clear as day. The FBI, and they tell us that crime is down. Crime is down, and then we learned yesterday, thanks not to the Washington Post or the New York Times or CNN or 60 Minutes. We learned because of Real Clear Investigations and John Lott, the wonderful John Lott, a very smart man who tracks crime and gun issues. That nobody's better on guns than John Lott. And John Lott at Real Clear Investigations points out the FBI put out their fake numbers, reported the nation's violent crime fell by 2.1%, and all the Democrats ran to the cameras. Crime is down thanks to Democrats. Democrats are committing all the crimes, too. As I mentioned, we talked about this on my Newsmax show last night. And, as I like to say, the problem is not our guns, it's your sons. Get your people under control. But anyway, in any case, John Lott says, they told us the violent crime rate fell by 2.1% in 2022. This quickly became and remains a Democrat Party talking point to counter Donald Trump's claims of soaring crime. For which he was interrupted by David Muir at the presidential debate. And David Muir gave false information, misinformation, which is going to have to be prosecuted, maybe, as Hillary Clinton says, civil or criminal penalties for disseminating disinformation. We're going to have to arrest the FBI now. But the FBI quietly revised those numbers, releasing new data that shows violent crime increased in 2022 alone by 4.5%. So over the course of 10 years, it will increase by 45% at that rate, right? And the new data includes thousands more murders, rapes, robberies, and aggravated assaults. The Bureau, the FBI, which has been at the center of partisan storms, made no mention of these revisions in its September 2024 press release. Isn't that amazing? And they put them out online and nobody reads them. And if they do read them, they don't know what the context is. So honestly, it was discovered, Real Clear Investigations discovered that they discovered the change through a cryptic reference on an FBI website that states the 2022 violent crime rate has been updated for inclusion in CIUS, the U.S. crime stats, 2023. But there's no mention of the fact that the numbers increased. So there's a blurb that says the 2022 violent crime rate has been updated for inclusion in their 2023 numbers. But here's the problem. If you Google this stuff, it turns out that they haven't released the official numbers for 2023 yet, but they told us that crime was down for 2023. And they said that's in keeping with a 3-year trend of declining crime. That's 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration. They're telling us that the 3-year trend is declining crime. And they lie, and they lie, and they lie. Honestly, it's the Soviet author. It's the Soviet author again, Anna Gorokova, who wrote of the Soviet Union. It's all very simple. They lie to us. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us, but they keep lying to us, and we keep pretending to believe them. And that's what the news media is doing here. They take the government numbers that are false on the economy, on unemployment, on the border, and on murder, rape, and aggravated assault, and the FBI is lying to us. And when they correct the record, they don't tell anybody. And then they put out their latest report, and it says, oh, guess what? Crime was down again in 2023. It's a 3-year trend. Gosh, 2021, 22, and 23, the 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration, crime is trending down. But it's not. They're lying, and we all knew it.
We have to deal in facts here.
Thank you.
Okay? It's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics for the first half of this year.
Yeah.
The trend lines are going down.
Now, the great piece by John Lott in Real Clear Investigations, he spoke to Carl Moody, a professor at the College of William and Mary, specializes in studying crime. And Professor Carl Moody, talking to John Lott, said, I've checked the data on total violent crime from 2004 to 2022. He says, there were no revisions from 2004 to 2015 in the FBI crime data. That's 11 years, more than a decade. From 2016 to 2020, there were small changes of less than 1 percentage point. The huge changes in 2021, 2022, especially without explanation, make it difficult to trust FBI data. Now, that's a swing of more than 6.6%. They said violent crime, murder, rape, assaults down 2.1% when the crime was actually up 4.5%. That is a swing, a deviation of 6.6%. For more than a decade, 2004, 2015, no revisions at all. Then under Trump, small revisions of less than 1%. Then suddenly, we have Merrick Garland and our FBI and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the murder crime stats. We're just going to, forget about that. And when they revise the stats, they don't tell anybody. It's just a website somewhere. And John Lott noticed it at Real Clear Investigations and then started digging and looking into it and talking to people. And boy, oh boy. It's up to the FBI to explain what they've done. They haven't explained these large changes, said Dr. Thomas Marvell, president of Justice Research. And they study this stuff too. We're lied to. We're lied to a lot by our government on the jobs numbers, economic numbers, border numbers. Now, murder and rape and assault. They're lying to us about everything. Have a nice day.